Douglas Politics tonight, 7:30 p.m. Trinidad and Tobago. We've really gone to the dogs. Douglas Politics tonight, 7:30 p.m. Log on. We start on time. Don't make no joke. Bless. Be safe.
Politics. This is Douglas Politics, yo. Douglas Politics. Listen, Douglas Politics, yeah. Douglas Politics. This is Douglas Politics, yeah. Douglas Politics. This is Douglas Politics. Douglas Politics. This is Douglas Politics, yo. Douglas Politics.
Good evening and welcome to Douglas Politics. Eid Mubarak to the Muslim community and to all in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, let me tell you all something. Enough of the game playing, Keith Christopher Rowley. You in charge. Champa say you in charge. You the boss. You the arrogant prime minister. You talking and only balling Kamla. Let me tell you something. If y'all and all of y'all who saw that man during the election and laugh and kia about dome, y'all are seeing what a security dome, what an iron dome, what it is doing in Israel. You are seeing what security mechanisms are put in place, and no one had to reinvent the wheel. We just had to secure our borders from COVID-19. So all the lockdown, all the people who say now the chambers of commerce that before the election, Gabriel Ferry, who was working with all you, do 2 surveys to be printed saying the government is doing great with COVID. Where are all your surveys now? You're using it in the toilet when you come out after eating a stale doubles from 3 weeks ago? Where all you is? The chambers of industry and commerce now saying about curfew, lockdown, shutdown will only dampen for a moment. If the borders are porous and COVID-19 continues to come in at 81 to 146 weak points in our domestic border security, without vessels, without diesel, without army, without army camps, without vehicles patrolling, without immigration officers, without police roadblocks, without air guard, without helicopter, without anything. We are wasting time. We have wasted 14 months and $75 billion. We have wasted time on a government that is incompetent, dotish, and foolish. And all the clown can do is lie, and more lie. And so shameless and disgusting. Liar calling people liar. Shameless liar. Well, we will deal with that. But if you all didn't notice, flick on CNN, flick on Al Jazeera, flick on BBC, you will see the security dome, the iron dome in place. Trinidad and Tobago did not need missile defense, the tip of the dome, but we needed all the base to keep our borders safe from COVID-19, especially in a pandemic where on the South American continent, it is exploding and continues to explode. All of the hospitals in Brazil and Venezuela have shut down and collapsed long time. Look at it. Just look at what a security iron dome. Look at the pinnacle of security. That is what Kamla was talking about, keeping us safe. I'm sure Israel had, yes, these are the jobs offered. Dome builders, dome masons, dome sweepers, dome climbers, and dome maintenance. All they laughing now? Funny joke. Show them the dome in operation in Israel.
מה הנה? סתם את נותנת
לא, זה
להצטלם?
נעלם בשמיים.
זה באמת, אני ראיתי, אביב.
תסתכל לשם, לכיוון שם.
אני
איפה
מצלם,
בנימין?
הנה. יואו, כמה טילים! זה בא לפה, אני לא מאמין! יואו! הכיפת ברזל... יואו! אי אפשר, אני לא יכול, אני חייב לצלם את זה. יואו!
video I just showed you is the Iron Dome in action, the Iron Dome of Israel. That is missiles that intercept other missiles in midair. Unbelievable stuff here. Stuff that takes your breath away. A true military wonder. The video I just showed you is the Iron Dome in action, the Iron Dome of Israel.
What you saw there,
מה הנה? סתם אתה נותן
לא, זה
להצטלם?
נעלם
לא,
בשמיים.
זה באמת.
peak of the dome, the base of the dome is security systems, roadblocks, police, army, different units, border security, customs, immigration, vehicles, lockdowns, radar, security, CCTV, all of that creating the base of the dome. And what you saw there, when the terrorists or the attackers cannot get through on the ground, they try to come in from the roof, and the air defense missile system operates. They also have helicopters, aircraft, anti-aircraft, radars, planes, surveillance, helicopters. That's a dome security. Trinidad and Tobago needed a dome security to protect us from economic immigrants fleeing from the oppression of a narco-terrorist, oppressive drug trafficking regime in Venezuela, where the bee just collapsed and it's 2-3 million bees for one US. People are suffering and they want to come across, and they're just walking across. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, they are walking across with COVID-19. So all the lockdown, the shutdown, the fake data that they gave us, we are now in a total, complete mess. Over 87 people dead in 13 days. And Rowley still there calling himself Prime Minister, laughing and ridiculing Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC that put their brains together to come to protect the people. And that was a joke. All of you clowns who were in the meeting, laughing and kya-kya-kyaing, Karen Nunes, Teixeira, and all of your PNM red and ready. Is it funny now? Is it funny now that we are suffering and dying, and everybody knows somebody who either dead or dying of COVID? Let's all have a good laugh now at Rowley's dome builders and dome sweepers, Duncy, Dotish, Clown. I promised Valentino sing I wouldn't get vexed, Valentino. I break my promise already. I now start. Because again, today, I find out 6 different people who are COVID-19. It's worse than what we even think. It's worse than what we're hearing. And we have a complete dunce, a complete idiot in charge of us. And the sad thing is that media, members of the media allow that to happen. You have a man laughing at Security Dome Initiative. A concept, a scientific concept of security. Anybody in the security field would understand that. They implement nothing. And our people are dying. And they thought it was funny. But we're not laughing now. As we're moving on, I'll give you some miscellaneous. Share the life, please, because when I get into the meat of the matter, we're going to see 2 things, 2 main issues today. Some of the media calling for Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress to get together with Keith Christopher Rowley and his government to help them solve the problem. And pretending as if Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC did not offer the help, assistance, debate, discussion, intellectual capital to solve the problem, did not give Rowley ideas, pretending that Rowley has said he don't want to hear nothing from Kamala and the UNC. Rowley said that he is the brightest man in the country. Rowley has said that he went it alone. He is number one. And now who's number dead last now? Who? He not taking that blame though. So we're going to deal with that. And then imagine Keith Christopher Rowley calling people liar. They're like a serial killer, Gacy, calling people murderer. They're like Osama bin Laden calling people terrorists. Rowley calling other human beings liar. Rowley, you're a sick man, boy. So let me ask you all this question as we move in. How is our health system the best health system in the Commonwealth, said Rowley, even though he does fly out and go for he check-up and thing all in California and so on. Best in the Commonwealth. The convent girl was saying our parallel system is the best, bar none. We have 950 beds in the parallel. How the parallel system collapsing at 350 patients then? It should have 600 extra bed. How much ventilator it have? Run the video there, Archie. Let me hear it.
Prior to COVID or post-COVID, we activated 230 beds at Couva, extra capacity. 50 at Augustus Long. We activated an extra 75, I believe, at Couva. We have activated an extra 94 at Arima. We will be activating across the board, that is how much? A couple hundred, and we could add it up. So the answer is yes, we have activated an entire parallel healthcare system to deal with COVID. Oh, I have it here. The total number of available beds to deal with COVID is 924 beds. So that's a vast number that we have activated in the parallel healthcare system. So I hope you are comforted by that answer.
Are you all comforted by that answer? Since April 2020, 926 beds for COVID alone. But we collapsing at 342 patients in COVID-19 bed. Somebody didn't tell the truth because mathematics don't work so. How we collapsing? And we boasting about 10? Are they boasting about 10? That's what you all are doing? Well, I see, I must commend some of the PNM got bright. Remember I tell all they was forcing me to come to talk about a fairy tale that I talk on Douglas Politics in front of them committee? Oh, they was trying to count down. You ain't come. I say, me ain't breaking no law, me ain't breaking no health regulations, me ain't coming inside it. I have asthma, me ain't COVID-19, me ain't bringing no PNM to kill me. All of a sudden today, they cancel. Hey, PNM incompetence, if you don't laugh, you go cry. But here there's all the courts closed. But them still want to have Senate, and them still want to have committee of privilege. But courts closed, the judiciary has closed all court buildings across the country until further notice. This is due to the recent spike in COVID-19 cases and in an attempt to protect the health and well-being of staff and members of the public, but not them PNM. I've seen page 18 of the Newsday. The Newsday is still trying to promote this lady who seems to be like a PNM party group, turning the Caribbean Center for Human Rights into a PNM party group. Miss Ramdial from Tableland. Where you want me to call your picture, but picture leave you. You is Ramdial from Tableland. What you have against Senator Lyda and talking this nonsense and have Judy Raymond using it? I'm not even going to discuss you anymore. Shame on you. And I hope that whoever is the bosses of Caribbean Center for Human Rights better pull in Miss Ramdial picture and ask her if she thinks that her job is to fight personal grouses with people. Human rights we're talking about. Let me read some Spanish for all you. And hey, we go in and start Douglas politics when Vishnu come next week. We cut down, it's just me and Archie here because COVID-19 we're not even playing. We're going to put some Spanish subtext down at the bottom because the amount of Venezuelan watching Douglas politics is políticos de Douglas. Migrantes venezolanos retornan por la frontera con Brasil expuestos al COVID-19. El grupo de personas que regresa al territorio debe esperar hasta 6 días o más para ser trasladado hasta un albergue en Puerto Ordaz. Algunos denunciaron que los militares cobran $30,000 por llevarlas pese a que debe ser gratuito. Let me tell you what that is. There's so much traversing Venezuelans going into Brazil and back, that there are people are now complaining that the Guardia Nacional and people out there are abusing those migrants and charging them $30 US, like 30 million Bs to move into the COVID-19 quarantine that is overexposed, oversubscribed. And they don't even have quarantine anymore, so they're getting delayed and they're staying out in the roads and so on and cannot move back into Venezuela. That's where the Brazilian variant comes from. A group of migrants who returned to Venezuela through the border with Brazil denounced the lack of sanitary protocols against COVID-19 and delays in transfers to Puerto Ordaz. And these are the people who are fleeing Venezuela to come to Trinidad to earn a living. But unfortunately, in a pandemic, COVID-19 comes with them. I have a question for the Alsing, and members of the media, please take these questions. I don't want any credence. You write your laptop and type down this. I am asking you, my citizens and my people, and I want somebody to ask Convent Girl, ask Dr. Hoyt, and Parasham, the man who cry and hold the job, not one tear though. Ask them this for me. How my people dying so fast? How are my citizens dying so fast? Y'all who have been following the pandemic for the last 17 months know what I'm talking about. In developed world countries, you rarely move into the death spiral after about 17 days in a hospital. Once you cross 17 days, you know that the likelihood that you're going to dead is real. And you could last all up 30, 35 days on a ventilator and so on. But anytime you go into ICU after 17 days or you're in ICU past there, you know that things are looking good. How come my people are dying 3 days into being in the hospital, 2 days? How come one imam died waiting to be put on a ventilator? So he dead before even 24 hours. How is that? What is the cause of that? You're not interested? I want the answer. I don't have the answer, but all I know is globally, whether it was in Italy, whether it is in India, whether it was in South Korea, whether it was New Zealand, USA, Canada, wherever you get and you listen to the science, people don't dead so fast. How come my Trinbagonian citizens dead in so fast? Less than a week. Media people, could you ask them how many ventilators we have operating, please? How many ventilators? I've been asking that question since last year, April, when that man was boasting about 926 COVID-19 beds. But we putting up thing in Gene Pair Complex now, and only 342 people in COVID-19. So who lie? Because 342 is not bigger than 926. My 6-year-old daughter know that. And she online class. 926 is bigger than 342. So there should be no need for gene pair, no netball, no tennis, no nothing. Well, we have no soccer drum. I tell all that no carnival. I tell all that since last year. All them now realizing it are no carnival. What is the state of care at our hospitals? What is the state of our caregivers? Do they have the correct PPE gear? Where is it? Because I'm hearing complaints right through. Is it the correct gear? Is it good enough? Is it enough? How many nurses are working per patient? What is the state of their ability to care for those people going into the hospital? What is the state of care? You all go on a press conference all day, every day, and don't ask no question, don't get no information. How come my people are dying so quickly? We enter hospital and before 6 days we dead. Why? That's not happening anywhere else. Why are people not getting test results? I see a whole lot of people lining up in St. Augustine, a video on social media today. Cars, miles of cars lining up to go and get tests. How much for that test? $1,500. Who have $1,500 to go and take a test? And then if you're negative, and then the next 2 weeks you might have to take a next. Who have a next $1,500, $3,000 to go and pay for more COVID tests? Why is the government not paying these private institutions to give people tests because people broke and no work? Where the money gone? Where the 18 billion gone? You say I spent 445 million. That still leaves 17.6, 17.55 billion. Where it gone? PNM. Where it gone? Is it that my people are waiting till it's so bad to eventually get a test, because to pay all our money for a test, so that by the time they don't reach in the hospital, 9 days of sufferation gone. So when they dead in 8 days, that 17 days, that's how our science, that's how our care, that's how our health system is working. What is the reason for it? Please. Are my people going to the hospital to dead? Best they stay home and dead, because they could dead at least hugging up their loved ones. Why are we so bad? Why? Is it that our caregivers don't have the wherewithal, the equipment, the facilities, the funding, the medicine, the machinery, the technology? What's the difference between us and USA? Us and Denmark, us and Norway, us and New Zealand, us and Australia? What's the difference? When we come back, Express says the government and the opposition must unite. I'm going to deal with that when we come back. Valentino Singh, I ain't no boy. I ain't feel I could stay calm today. I ain't feel so. Because they turn politics into a joke. They put the most incompetent human beings all my life in sport. You work hard, you're either good or you ain't good. You're fast or you're slow. You train hard or you're lazy. You win and you lose. We have a bag of the most incompetent human beings charting the future, in charge of our lives, and our people are dying. We coming back.
Politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago, do we have this thing up to fix? We coming with facts, cut them down like axe. Every kid and race finally go places love to the max. And when we tell them, Manel, Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yo. Douglas politics, listen, Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics.
Welcome back and share the live, please. Share the live. So the Daily Express, opinion 13 of May 2021. Government and opposition must unite. They must put the nation's needs above their animosities and join forces in light to fight against COVID-19. This is why we urge the government to accept the offer of assistance from the opposition, United National Congress. Let me read. Because you see, in this country, you all like to play games. Since January 2020, the opposition was requesting to debate COVID-19. The opposition doctors, Fuad Khan, Lakrambodo, all of them were offering assistance, planning, discussion. Dr. Parasham was saying no COVID-19. Convangel was saying he have it under control because he's a druggist. Rowley, ignorant, arrogant, cussing everybody, them is number one, let's vote. Kamla Prasadbi says, and the UNC have been offering assistance, offering and requesting to meet from since then. And Rowley has said no, he don't want to hear from UNC, he don't want to hear nothing. He's the brightest stones doctor in the whole world. Wednesday, May 12th, Kamala, opposition wants to work with government against COVID-19 the sixth time. The sixth time since last year, March. The first time she asked was March. Look at what Archie put up there. That story, if you lift it up a bit, you will see the date. That story is the 16th of March in the Express 2020. It's March 19th, right? No, March 16th, 2020. I know I remember correctly. March 16th, 2020. That story was generated. Opposition, that's Kamala, request meeting with government, that's Rowley, arrogant, invitation to balance man, Duncy head, get COVID with sneezing and stuffy nose, no fever, no sore throat, no loss of taste, no rash, no nothing, just stuffy nose and sneezing. He refused because he bright, the doctor of stones. So when you all playing your stupidness now, trying to play like, oh, both sides are the same. No. If one has been begging to help, one has been begging to debate, one was saying, let's take this serious, and the other one was saying, that doesn't qualify under the standing order as a matter of urgent public importance. That does not qualify. That does not qualify. We will never get COVID-19. If we get COVID-19, it will just be like pockets, sporadic idiots. Kamala again ask. And what does that man say? Leave him there. Leave the bright spark. Leave the doctor of stones right there. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he is uncertain what a meeting with the opposition leader will do, since the last advice he got from her was to go to hell. Now you see the disingenuousness of this man. Yes, she told you to go to hell when you lied in a press conference to deal with COVID-19, talking about border security, and said the UNC does own half the whole house in Trinidad and Tobago, and we had to show you sitting down with King Ho House, rubbing his leg in his house, hugging him up, loving him up, you and Faris, because you lie. That's why she told you to go to hell. So don't come there now and pray she tell you to go to hell and tell the country to go to hell. Don't play games. You are a disgusting, shameless liar who said that the UNC own Ho House and your friend Brethren is the Ho House king. Watch him. Rubbing his leg. You take a picture, move your finger, rub your thumb. You're so comfortable on a couch with a man. That the Ho House king. So when she told you, you scumbucket doctor of stones, go to hell, it was on that lie. When people dying, you're incompetent, COVID-19 is a serious thing. You'd come in to talk and tell the world that the UNC own Ho House when you in the house of horse. Hear the man. Rowley said he didn't think the UNC was taking the pandemic seriously. The United National Congress 5 times between January, February and March of 2020 asked in the Parliament and the Senate on 5 separate occasions as a matter of urgent public importance, whether it was Anita Haynes, Senator Wade Mark, Saddam Hussein, Kamla Prasadbi, Tim Gopi Singh, asking to debate the pandemic that was coming across the world from the east to the west. And those people led by that man said it is not important. They balance and whine on Bumsy. He was all over the place trying to get our next 17-year-old. That is what he was doing while COVID-19 was coming. And now he's saying that the UNC ain't take it serious. The UNC had 3 doctors, qualified doctors as MPs. He has none. He went and find the dunciest druggist, not even a pharmacist, and make him Minister of Health. And we not taking it serious? Kamala said, build a dome. Yes, build. Eyeball build. Create a dome. Talking his nonsense. Create a dome around Trinidad and Tobago security. Security dome tight to protect our people. He say build. It's concrete. Vibranium. You need dome builders, dome mason, dome carpenters. And Kamala and the UNC not taking it seriously. When Kamala and the UNC was saying bring in test kits, rapid test kits, 100,000, 200,000, you bought none. You got a gift of 4,000 from Chinese and it wasn't even working because the 4,000 of them didn't know swab or something. We were testing 10 people a day. The first man who died was here in Carnival. Did not take it seriously. You locked down, shut down, and we are now dying. The economy is shattered. Everybody has lost jobs, and you are talking arrogantly to people. You invite people across the Tobago, and now backtracking, and balling the UNC not taking it seriously. Well, if you are taking it seriously, and you are taking it and doing your best, and you suck so bad, you need to just come out, give up, go in a rocking chair, and don't talk for the rest of your life, however long God give you. You come in to tell we pray next week. We need prayers now. We need prayers yesterday. We needed prayers August 10, 2020. We needed prayers September 7, 2015 when the people got confused and put you, an evil part-time Obia man, in the office of Prime Minister. You telling people pray next week Sunday? Yes, put him back. That we ain't taking COVID serious. You take it seriously? That COVID you're putting on she? This man continued. Since they were only seeking opportunities to score political points, spreading misinformation, making the job far more difficult. So the UNC making your job difficult by showing you what to do. All you have to do is follow what the UNC do. Give the Coast Guard diesel. Prepare the boats, make sure they have parts, bring the daymen engineers, keep them rotating, keep the radar working, keep the helicopter going, keep the air guard with radar on it working, put the armies down on across the coastline, give them vehicles with bright lights, put police roadblocks, put immigration and health facilities down there, keep the people safe, lock down the borders, repatriate our citizens, don't lock out our own citizens. You have done everything wrong. And the amount of lies, every day is a new one. Well, boy, I can't tell all you what I write on that. Rowley said, while it was claimed 50,000 people went to... wait, I come into that just now. So let me tell you all something. The opposition leader and the UNC had been trying to help this arrogant, inefficient, incompetent human being who blames everybody else. Since the beginning, before the first case of COVID, the United National Congress was saying, come on, let's fight this. Let them turn that into a pandemic. Y'all don't even understand. Rowley won the election not only with his gerrymandering of the EBC and putting a former minister daughter, niece Day, who is the best friend of the current Minister of Education, in charge of an election. So close, so friendly with the PNM, and it's a two-party, two-horse race. Brilliant, that's real fairness. The referee like one side. Great, that's great independent institution. But he got a little spike because people like the Chambers of Industry and Commerce, the Guardian newspaper, the Express you're now trying to print the truth, but too late shall be the cry. You all have us in this mess by not printing the truth and asking the hard questions before election when people had a choice to make. So people made a choice. and he win by 18,000 votes. Not many. They had more than 20,000 people left outside. And people outside kind of have brain because they have money to go outside and they have work, whether in business or degree or whatever. And anybody who is intelligent who could not vote for Rowley. So 20,000 voters was left outside. All you find that was right. No election observers. The man lie about election observers. And then he come to be prime minister again. And now the proverbial feces has hit the fan. And you all are saying to us that Kamala Prasad Bisesa is opposing for opposing's sake. Number one, she has offered help right through. Number two, anything that she says comes to pass. You all are still laughing about sunlight. So how come you left earlier on in this second lockdown, you leave outside open and you close inside? Not because the sun is outside, the sun and the breeze. What you close the beaches for? COVID-19, how many people get positive on our beach? COVID-19 is getting in the salt water, in the hot sun. The COVID-19 has a half-life in the hot sun of only 12 hours. It lives there. If it's on the hot road there, on the pavement, and the sun in it dies in 12 hours. If it's here on the inside in this nice cold place, it lives for 72 hours. So for 60 more hours inside, COVID-19 could be more infectious than outside in the sun. All you can understand that? That's too much science for PNM people to understand. Kamala Prasad Bisesa cannot ask questions and cannot oppose. Even a staunch former PNM supporter who is disgusted with Rowley, a Tobagonian lady, is fed up. Run it. Let me hear from she. Let me rest my mouth. Only listen to this lady carefully.
He telling her you shouldn't ask that. Why you doing this? Why you saying, oh, the questions are there to be asked. Answers are needed. But if you don't have an answer to give, you don't have to be so sarcastic and so damn rude. I don't understand. If our prime minister doesn't know the meaning of the word opposition, Kamala Bisesa is not his friend. She is his opposition. She's supposed to oppose him until they reach a consensus. If he's doing stuff that she doesn't like, she has the power and the rights to oppose him. She is the opposition leader. When Keith Rowley becomes an opposition leader, no one can even control him, not even his own party leader, the prime minister, that he was working with and under. Patrick Manning was his prime minister. And he was damn rude, rough, wild, indecent. He was everything that we don't want to have right now. How the hell on earth you are going to be asked a question, and before you say something that would love and bring love and unity, you begin to judge Kamala Bisesa now this morning. You begin to talk about she and what she say and what she not say. This is not the time for that. Campaigning is over. Keith Rowley, you have never said anything nice about that woman. You have never. And if a question was asked, are you willing to meet with her so we can work things out for unification's sake? How much stripes you think you won this morning when you disgracefully refuse that question and turn it into what you wanted people to listen to this morning?
And just to remind you all, this shameless liar called Keith Christopher Rowley, who playing holier than thou now and blaming everybody after he lied to the entire population and the world with Convangale talking about we are number one. Let me remind this clown, when Kamala Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister, building the Couva Children's Hospital that is saving lives there now, that without that Couva Children's Hospital, well boy, I don't even want to imagine it. Point Fortin Hospital, Arima Hospital, Teaching Hospital in San Fernando, health centers across Trinidad and Tobago. While she was doing that, and you boasting about tent, that all your order since all your you and Telbert, Fitzgerald, Hines, don't know when the tent come. You say you order that from the USA since September 2020. Well, you should come out of being Prime Minister and go with a crystal ball. Because you knew when we was telling we's number one that we was going to dead like this and be dead last in the world and require a tent. She built a whole hospital with the greatest equipment for our children and our people to survive. CAT scan, MRI, not to take x-ray of stones, you know, Dr. Stones. While she was doing all that, let's hear what you were saying as leader of the opposition, Doctor of Stones.
We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office. As long as they're in office until they leave office.
Now all you're talking. And then he went.
We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office.
And then either he or someone concocted some pieces of paper, type up something, and that clown went into the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago after holding pieces of garbage for 6 months, going up to have scones and eating and drinking with Ken Gordon, another PNM clown, and then going to and saying that he took it and dropped it off by the president, former president, His Excellency Max Richards. And later on, 5 years later, when everybody, every human being said, Rowley, you're a disgusting liar, that those things were not emails, they were never emails, they were not even enough characters to constitute being an email, they were not in any cloud, it was total fabricated pieces of paper. He then changed his story and lied on a dead president to say that when Max Richards read it, he agreed with Rowley and said, this needs investigation. When he was on Hansard in Max Richards, he never spoke about having sat and read through and went through it and met with Max Richards to hear Max Richards say anything. The man lie on a dead man. And he is discussing patriotism, decision making. The man who has messed up the entire COVID-19 fight. We in a war 14 months and we worse off than anything. We lost. Rowley said, other Caricom countries are not getting as much pushback from the opposition. That is very true, Rowley. You didn't lie there. That is true. Because other Caricom countries have intelligent prime ministers that are doing what's best in their nation's interests. Mia Amor Motley, Andrew Holness, Gaston Brown, come down the line, down in Grenada, all of the Caricom prime ministers are working together, keeping their borders closed by repatriating their citizens, testing properly. Jamaica has been open for tourism since June last year. They still have less COVID-19 and no explosion like us. Jamaica's economy is still going. People could still make a little kakada. Mia Amor Motley has been the most creative, intelligent woman prime minister, male prime minister in the history of the Caribbean right now in her COVID-19 help. She even helped out our citizens that you and Smallpin spit out and had them without a country. So yes, you have to get more opposition from the opposition because you are totally incompetent. You are totally dishonest and you have our people dying, you have our borders open, and our economy is shattered. You are the worst. So you must be given much more pushback than other prime ministers that are handling their stories with class, with intelligence, with unity, with science, with information, with trust. They're not sculling the people and lying and draining the resources and dredging the treasury. Just to let you know, I'm going to go through now. Somehow I could press record, you know. I'm going to go through with you why Keith Rowley must be getting more pushback from the opposition than in any other territory, because of all the poor decisions, the mistakes, the errors, and the downright lies that he has told during this fight. Let's go through some of them, because you all may forget. The UNC called for debate in the parliament before our first positive case. 5 times denied by Rowley. Parasam and Convent Girl, they said COVID would never hit Trinidad and Tobago. Don't worry about it. How could you prepare for something that your advisors and your people in charge say they're coming? So they were never prepared. Rowley's government was never prepared. The porous borders. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC have been saying the borders are porous since 2016, 2017, when Maduro became oppressive and was squashing the constitution of Venezuela, and the economy became shattered, and then the international sanctions were having an impact, that the borders were porous, and Venezuelans were leaving Venezuela to go to Colombia, Brazil, or anywhere they could, and Trinidad and Tobago. Those borders were porous before the pandemic, and they are still porous as I speak now. That is bordering on criminal negligence. March 16, 2020, that Archie just put up for you. Kamala calls for unity, calls for a meeting, calls to meet with Rowley to tell him what her advisors, what her policymakers, what her party was saying to do to fight COVID-19 and keep the economy going. Rowley didn't want no talk. March 22nd, exemption gate began in Trinidad and Tobago, becoming the only country in the globe to deny its citizens access to their homeland. March 22nd, and it continues now. But borders would open for Delcy. After being indicted, 15 of the highest members of Maduro's cabinet indicted by the USA for narco-trafficking, terrorism, corruption, money laundering. And you, Keith Rowley, and the PNM open our borders not for our citizens to come home and bury their dead, not for our people to come home and check their property and be with their family and keep their family safe. No, for a sanctioned jet to land on Piaco with 5 PDVSA officials, and then you start to buy fuel from Wilmer Ripetti with your friend Newman George. You think Mia Amor Motley would be doing that nonsense? Andrew Holness, Gaston Brown, Prime Ministers of Grenada, St. Vincent, Antigua, going down the line, Dominica. You think them Prime Ministers doing that nonsense? So their opposition don't have to give them that much pushback. Your government, your minister said no mask. Mask wearing by the population is ridiculous, stupid. We will touch up with face. Leave the mask out. Then he come and say, well, wear the mask up. But anything, man, rip up a t-shirt and wrap it around your head. Because he want to look like a Dulahin with one tear coming down the eye. Then you all said, husband and wife and child who just love up and kiss up and hug up and so on must put on mask in the car just to make Stuart Young small pin, who was somewhere else while the AG tight pants a la one shirt was making the law. He say we have to wear masks in the car. The AG say that don't make no sense. That song ain't dumb. but they had to leave it so to make sure that your K-Pax liquor don't sound dotage. So we just leave we house and then pour on mask in we car. No testing. You're testing 10 people a day. No testing. Up till the election August, the tests didn't even cross 5,000 out of a population of 1.39 million plus 140,000 at that time. Illegal Venezuelans. We did not even cross 0.03%. In order to create a curve, you needed to test 3% of your population, which would have been somewhere around 65,000. We now reaching 150,000 tests. And the tests, what we testing now? Plenty. But before election, we wasn't testing. How we get 615 positive tests in whatever range. It first is 24 hours, then it's 7 to the 11, then it's 4 to the 15, then it's whatever. In the whole period, March, April, May, June, how much tests all you did? Out of that 615 positive, them had to take about 6,000 tests. That is more tests taken in that 4-day period than the whole of March, April, May, June, July into election. They did not test. We had no COVID. We were number one. Rastaman say, Dr. Rowley and my people vote for this idiot, and now we in a mess. We bill in tent to put people to death. What you going in the tent to do? Carnival was open season and balancing. The first death was here during Carnival. How much testing, contact tracing, how much temperature checking? What did they have? Nothing. You said that private labs weren't good. Your government said private labs. Convangel said, forget those private labs. Their testing is not efficient. They'll give you false positives and all kind of thing. Remember that? And then 23 days later, all you go to the private labs. And now, 80% of the tests is private labs. People lining up all on Eastern Main Road to go private labs. You said, your government said private labs wasn't good. And that you were getting 2 PCR machines. Where it is? Up in somebody K-Pax. The Chinese test kits that you got that never function. You lock down beaches and rivers when everybody in the world saying outside it's safer because of the sunlight, the wind, the breeze, the atmosphere. Outdoors is better than indoors. You ridicule that sunlight and outdoors. You tell people exercise with mask, and about 5 people dead of heart attack. Who in their right mind would tell human beings to exercise with a mask on? You, Rowley, and your PNM. No rapid testing for 10 months. You call an early election in a pandemic with fake data, false data, no testing, and left foot, right foot. What responsible prime minister or leader would call an early election in a pandemic? You did. So you must get more pushback from an opposition that is intelligent and wants what's best for Trinidad and Tobago. The other prime ministers in the Caricom are not as stupid as you. They're not as dotish as you. They're not as dishonest as you. They're not as incompetent as you. And they don't have a cabinet full of dunces like you. They don't have a convent girl in charge. You think Mia Moore Motley would put a dunce like convent girl in charge as she held? Boy. Invitation to Tobago. You invite everybody to Tobago. Now you're backing back. Like how you're back on the 17-year-old girl in your green costume. You backing back. You said there's no problem this Easter with the ferry. Tobago is the place to be. The hotel capacity is at 73% and growing. Tobago is the place to be, and anyone who wants to come can get there. Now you're trying to divide 50,000 that Rohan say in half to say it was 25,000 that went both ways. What about the parallel beds? You say 926 beds. Now we bill in tent and we have 342 patients in hospital. One to the other 600 bed. Somebody eat it? No vaccines. No vaccines. Not from India, not from donation, not from purchase, none whatsoever. We get we COVAX share, and they say, well, oh, we got the same amount as COVAX that the Barbados. Yes, but Mia Motley also got 100,000 early o'clock from India. Jamaica got their stuff from India too, and from other places. And the combination is they are well on their way. You lied on the Brazilian variant. Your boys was there saying they don't know where it come from. And when you ask Convan Girl, he say ask Etelbert. And when you ask Etelbert, he no. And then they come in the Senate and had to tell the truth and say it was a Venezuelan illegal immigrant because the borders are porous. These are this is bordering on criminal negligence. I still have more pages, you know. Only I'm taking my time. I'm just showing you all. We are not here by guess. We are not the worst in the world by guess. We have the worst government led by the worst prime minister in the world. It's not emotion, I'm telling you. Pure fact. I hear him reach 1/3 of the way through and look at the critical mistakes, errors, poor decisions, and poor implementation of Rowley that has us at 615 cases and 9 deaths today. In the month of May alone, 96 people dead in 13 or 14 days. What about the procurement of the Sinopharm? Them sign a loan from since last year, of which 15% of that money was for vaccine that was not even produced yet and would not get WHO approval. Them hold on to that and wait for that. And since we just got it a few days ago, they're saying we bring in vaccine now. Time, vaccination, herd immunity, it means lives. So when they waited 90 days on their Chinese deal to get the loan, for that to get approval, 90 days each day, more people were at risk of dying. And he wants to play that he know Dr. of Stones is a bright boy. And then he puts the man, Mute, in charge of his roadmap committee. First he was in charge of the KFC report for the Bridgemans. He get a interchange bill to drop people straight in the bucket of chicken. He in charge of the roadmap to recovery committee, but he recover all the pharmacy. And now Rowley say, well, we will get access to Pfizer now and we will buy. Why? Because Mute sign up now. False claims of numbers sent a dangerous message to the population. Messaging and communication is very important. By the government, Rowley and Convan Girl, in order to get back to win a slim margin in an election, when over 50,000 of you really believe that them was doing good in COVID because the media was telling you that, surveys done and paid for by the Chambers of Industry and Commerce by Gabriel Faria were telling you that nonsense. I was trying to debunk it, but Lord, what did Douglas do is only me. That convinced some of you all to dip your finger. They lied and say Kamala want to open the border. What nonsense. Bringing home people is not opening the border. Dr. Parasram has said the repatriation system is flawless. That's why we have no UK variant here, because the two who had UK variant were returning residents and they went through the system and no UK variant. But porous borders that the government cannot keep closed. Brazilian variant in here killing we. So the messaging, if you keep telling people we are number one, we are the best, 116 positives, no community spread, nothing, even though you know you're lying because you're not testing. 8 deaths, no more deaths, 54 days, everything is great. Call an election, left foot, right foot, vote, dance, yes, this, yes my boy. If you send that message and you continue to show that message, the man who makes the laws goes in a room with 13 men, hugging them up and braying like a donkey and dribbling all over them. No separation, no mask, nothing. If you keep showing the population that, what message do you think is going to get out there? That this is a critical, serious thing? Or that you all have it under control? You see, lies have consequences. And in this case of the pandemic, Keith Rowley, your lies have critical consequences that have led to citizens dying. I ain't done there yet. Where's the education program? You talking about vaccine. People are scared. There's a greater, longer line for COVID tests than for scarce vaccine. When you had scarce vaccine, 33,600 before the 40,000 reached that Kamala asked for from India, you didn't have no line for no vaccine. Why? Because people are afraid. They don't understand. And your job as government, as the leaders, was to provide people with information, credible information. You have done nothing. You have failed. We hear you sent out, they say all sent out a tender for some communication of the vaccination program, the science, the information, who should do it, why you should do it, what's the method, what's the science, how safe it is to get people. Because without people's buy-in, you cannot reach herd immunity. You all failed to communicate and educate the people. People not rushing down no vaccine. Some going. But to reach 1 million plus 100,000, 1.1 million, you need people to be safe and believe in it. You all have done nothing, fail. Discrimination in the application of the law. As I said, you all could go in a big wedding, Andrew Gabriel daughter wedding, your big friend, your financier, you have the invitation in your pocket, but you buffing people and have zesters down on the ground and people getting charged. They can't even pay the fine, getting locked up and put in jail for 14 days. But your big financier could have a wedding with 200, 240 people in a wedding, in a pandemic, and now we have a spread like never before and people are dying. This is criminal negligence based on your discriminatory practice of applying the laws that you make. And you wondered why you get pushback from an intelligent opposition who cannot believe that you are so dumb. Lies on Barbados about the 2,000 vaccine, and you're lying now to say that your policy has always been WHO. The 2,000 vaccines that were gifted by Mia Amor Motley did not have WHO approval at the time that they were given and they were received by her. She wasn't waiting for that. She approved them, her ministry approved them, and she was vaccinated, her people, and she gave us 2,000. You didn't go and take the injection. You and Convent girl who lie and say Ollie was going to be number one. To all your duck run and hide and put a woman nurse to go and take the first one. All of those who got injected with those 2,000 vaccines, those were not WHO approved at the time. See how all leaders lie? Then you had an exemption policy where you had to call Jelani, right? The AG's son could come and go for 2 months and come back, while other people's children stuck down here. Frankie's daughter could come and bury Frankie. That I happy for her. But how many daughters could not bury their fathers in the last 14 months? How many of them left outside by your policy? But you break your policy and bring your minister's daughter home to bury him. That's fine for you. Now, I ain't done, you know. That's just the sort of scientific health. That's the health mistakes. The health bad decisions. The health wrong decisions of Rowley. The health chaos. Just some, and I'm not a doctor, so I miss out plenty. When I come back, I will go through the economic mistakes, missteps, errors, lies, and total incompetence of you, Keith Christopher Rowley. You must get the most pushback because you are the most dotish Prime Minister in the Caricom. Will you feel this is a game? You're a total failure. If the opposition does not push back on your mistakes, your missteps, your poor decisions, your dangerous, bordering on criminal conduct, then we should go on a pirogue and head to Caracas. So yes, the opposition is giving you more pushback than in any other territory in the Caricom, because the other prime ministers in the Caricom are making good sound decisions. They may not be perfect, but you are perfect in the reverse. You are a perfect goat. We're coming back.
Politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago, do we have this thing out the fix? We coming with facts, cut them down like axe. Every kid and race finally got places love to the max. And when we tell them
And welcome back. So let's go into some of the economic mistakes, poor decisions, ill-advised decisions made by you, Keith Christopher Rowley, in this 14-month war on COVID-19 that we as Trinbagonians are all losing because we are led by an incompetent general. $18 billion spent from the HSF funds left there by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And only 450 million of that spent to help people. Spent to help 1.4 million people, which works out to about $45 per person. $45 per person you have spent of taxpayers' money. That's not your money, that's the people's money. Spent and put there for the people, for a rainy day for the people. And you arrogantly shout and cuss the people and tell them they are nothing there for them. But they have there for you, Noel Garcia, A.A. Kwamena to spend in Heritage, a man who know nothing about oil. The only thing he know about oil is when he wake up in the morning and he face greasy. A.A. Kwamena, what you know about oil? All of Rowley's friends in charge of all their money. Newman George Paria, A.A. Kwamena, Noel Garcia. People still have not received the pittance of a salary relief grant since last year. And it was only for 3 months. Even though people out of work for 11, 12, 13, 14 months. 48,000 children used to get school feeding during a normal before the pandemic. They have pandemic. You know Rowley utilized that to cut school feeding even further down to 20,000 children. So Rowley and his government leave 28,000 children of Trinbagonian heritage hungry during a pandemic. Before pandemic, hear me carefully, 48,000 children. When Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla Prasad Bisesa was there in charge of education, 75,000 children used to get 2 meals per day. Rowley cut that before COVID down to 48,000. And in a pandemic, when people suffering, people lost their work, he cut that to 20,000, leaving 28,000 school children hungry for 14 months. Well, minus the 3 months of the holiday. They defer, they ain't put no legislation to help people with the banks. They let the banks, because I their friend and them, do what they want. And they ask that they defer loan payments and so on. Yes, but interest was still accruing. You defer, you didn't have to pay it for 3 months. But when the 3 months done, they call in for all the money. How many people have, not everybody lucky like Errol Fabian to have people who love him and adore him and could bail him out. How many people have lost their businesses and their houses because the banks have given them no ease? No stimulus. And trying to compare the US who will print money. The USA under Donald Trump gave $3 trillion to the people. People was getting check in the mail within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And they now coming again. You have done nothing. Coming to tell people about 600 hamper per constituency. Each constituency probably have 30 to 40,000 people. 600 hamper. What are you going to do with that? And it's not even 600 because they cut it down now and say, well, it had flood, so you can't even get vegetable. Private sector gave out hampers even though they were suffering. They had no help, no VAT refunds. You come and take COVID-19 money to give VAT refunds only to the big companies. There were no ease up on taxes, call me, but saying them people still had to pay all the tax. You come to criticize them and tell them stop looking for the dollar. When the business people and the private sector have been the ones trying to uphold this economy as best as they can, keeping their workers on, utilizing all the savings, taking loan to keep staff on, and you, the leader, cost them. Huge job loss. The central bank said 2,700 people lost jobs in 2020. And then print that, in a glossy thing, But Coleman come and say, they gave out last year salary relief grants to 92,000 people because they lost jobs. So Coleman said 92,000, but the central bank said 2,700. Coleman come now and say, well, for this month here of the lockdown, he is going to give that great Dwayne, that big heart fella, that Santa Claus, he is going to give you $1,000 or $1,500 for the month of May, and it may get to 20,000 people. Well, like 20,000 people who lost work in May. So what the central bank will come and tell me in 2021 only 12 people lost work? Fake statistics from the central bank. The NEDCO run around. I know small business owners applying the NEDCO for the little grant, the little business support loan. And when they fill out the big form, like a whole essay you have to write like you're applying to university, they go and they ask you 10 more questions. When you scramble and you answer them 10 more questions, they give you 6 more questions. And 8, 9, 10, 12 months pass and you ain't get a cent yet. And your business shut down. You can't make money. Single mothers cannot take care of their children. And no hope to get anything. They're getting depressed, sad. They're feeling like they can't work. They don't know what they want to do because they're normally independent. And you talking down to people like that? No science. What science all you follow? Shutting down restaurant, shutting down curbside. What COVID on a curbside? If I order a steak and fries, I go get COVID in the box. Schools shut and no children, 35,490 children do not have laptops or tablets or anything to go online right now. 14 months in the pandemic. That is criminally negligent. 46,710 children as of last month never logged on for online classes. For 14 months of their young lives, education gone. That will impact their lives, their earnings, their ability to cope with the rigors of life forever. People have unpaid bills. You all coming now to defer SEA because children cannot prepare. Foreign employment, you froze employment. You freeze it across the board. But not for Noel Garcia. Noel Garcia at Udicott, he hiring CEO. Hey! Talking about that CEO there by Udicott. Rowley boy, Village Ram. I'm coming to ask you about that one boy. Your boy, man, that just come on, information that just fall by the door, you know, Rowley. Sharon, your boy helping you out. Ask Rowley about the new Udicott CEO there for. Whisper in the ear. Oh, no, call him because he is close to you, you not COVID positive. Labor unions ignored. Vanity projects continue. Even in Tobago. Tobagonians, they need no airport right now for $1.3 billion. What Tobagonians need is to get COVID out of them, have them in a bubble and have the economy churning. Take the $1.3 billion and inject it into the economy of Tobago. Give everybody, all businesses in Tobago, some assistance. You're going to build an airport. The airport that exists now is at zero capacity because they have no travel for the next 3 years. We have no vaccine. We have no herd immunity. All they're saying herd immunity in 7 months. Really? Furthermore, before COVID, the capacity of that airport under KDs and Kamla was 97,000 international tourists per year, comfortably. That had dropped to 17,000. So you still could build back that up for 80,000. You ain't need no new airport yet. Why don't take the money and invest and put some creative and diversify the economy? All you ever notice something? When this Rowley is caught out by the media, especially when they do their job, which is very rare, but when they catch them eventually through the pushing of the opposition and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you ever notice what Rowley's do when he get catch and he figure out that he had no answer and he was just totally incompetent on an issue and he was just of no use? You know what he's do? The ferry. Remember, because the ferry, the bridge, Seabridge for 4 years collapsed Tobago economy and so on. Then when people were saying, but you ain't doing nothing, we have no foreign direct investment, you shut down Petrotrain, your gas price, you and small pay negotiate, kill point leases, 12 companies gone, no agricultural sector, no sport tourism, no culture, no soca, no music, no pan. Him. And the only can say is diversify the economy. Now, after he come in and he and Maduro is best friends and the border porous and Venezuelans They ain't running off no boat. Them walking out cool off breeze, looking good. Some of them coming with a fake boom boom and thing, and it floating off onto the shore. Them have to run because it had no coast guard, it had no army, it had no police roadblock, it had no helicopter, it had no radar, it had no air guard, it had no health official, it had no customs and immigration. Them walking off easy. So once you see people sprinting, you know that not Trinidad. What he say? And all they can say now is the border, the border, the border. Well, Rowley, you is an idiot, an idiot, an idiot. We coming back.
Politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago, do we have this thing out the fix? We coming with facts, cut them down like axe. Every kid and race finally got places love to the max. And when we tell them, Manel, Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yo. Douglas politics, listen, Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics.
And it is zero race talk, zero idiotic talk. I deal with facts and information. And welcome back. So Keith Christopher Rowley calling people liar. He said, them never mention no US tent or no US tent hospital MASH unit, nothing. Kamala mentioned it, it show up. Rowley say, since September last year, them order that from the US. Okay, Rowley. But Fitzgerald say, well, in the pandemic, in the spike, we got in contact with them, and 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks, and then 3 months, and 6 months, and so it started constructing, and that's okay. Who cares? Why do we need tents? Why do we need a tent hospital with $18 billion when we were #1 in COVID? When you are the best, when COVID would not impact us? What we need that for? When we had ventilators, y'all had everything under control. Your decision making was so brilliant. You're amazing. Y'all were #1. Not so? But what I couldn't take and I have to deal with. Oh God, play that. Let me hear this crap.
In the world, #1 in the world. #1 in the world. #1 in the world.
Yes, that. But what I ain't taking from you, Keith Christopher Rowley, you calling other people shameless liars, Rowley, you. Let's go. I did a little compilation.
Era where
Don't play here yet. I did a little compilation of some of Rowley's whoppers. I'm going to try and go through fast for you because the show going long tonight. All you get ready, I'm going fast. Some of Rowley's biggest lies that he has told, that he has been caught, me including all the lie he tells Sharon, and then Lazarus, and Donna Cox, and the Minister of Education, Gatsby Dolly, and then the Venezuelan, and the one in Spanish, and the 17-year-old in the ACC, and the boy down in the road. I ain't talking all that, and I'm talking about big lies that he has been caught with. Keith Christopher lying Rowley. Email gate, you shameless liar. Delcy and PDVSA as Astrubal Chavez. I didn't know who it was as Astrubal Chavez. Fake oil, Petrotrade, I'm a friend. I call him and say, but how things are, everything all right? But we closed down Petrotrade because the board said so. Winfred Espine go on and in the labor court and say, no, I never tell them to shut down Petrotrin. The 64 million in reports never said shut down Petrotrin. So who tell you shut down Petrotrin, boy, and put your lawyer in charge there? And he also said, we are not closing down Petrotrin. And if you didn't hear me and you was closing your fridge, we, the government, is not closing down Petrotrin. Petrotrin open, Rowley? You shameless liar. Beetham Wastewater Plant. Remember when Kamala Prasad Bissessa was in government, Kevin Ramnarayan was Minister of Energy, Rowley said Beetham Wastewater Plant, NGC corruption. Well, I rush and I read all the documents and so on. I think about it. It had ACOM, it had different company consultants, it had a tender committee, it had board, it had people who were there in the Ministry of Energy, 6 independent, intelligent, experienced people to vet the contract. I went now and I respond to Rowley in the parliament. When he come to the ball, corruption, Beetham Wastewater, thief, $1 billion thief. At the end of my contribution, I asked him, I look across at him. I said, Diego Martin West, I will give you a chance. Or you go back and check the record, go and check it. I said, I will give you a chance. Because you get up here, you call a motion of no confidence in the government and so on, and you come with corruption on Beetham Wastewater. I say, I will give you a chance right now. I will sit down for you to declare if you have ever had any interest in any wastewater plant at Beetham at any time in your career. He stand up with his scarf around his neck, wearing a grey blazer and a black pants. But the man just generally useless. And he get up on gallery. I have never had any interest in any wastewater plant, whether in Beetham or anywhere else in Trinidad and Tobago, he said. Well, you know the Douglas don't play. I say, boss, you sure? I will sit back down, you know, and I let you clear, I'll give you a chance, you know. The man jumped back up and started grammage. I can tell you categorically that I have never had any or represented anybody with any interest in a wastewater plant at Beetham. I pull out my Hansard from 2000. Member for Diego Martin West, who was Rowley. And Rowley was saying, and I quoted from Rowley, when Ganga Singh was the Minister of Public Utilities. He said, I had occasion to visit the then Minister of Public Utilities, the Honorable Ganga Singh. As I was in my capacity, private capacity as a geologist, I was representing some investors who wanted to invest in a wastewater plant at the Beetham. You shameless liar, Rowley. You calling people liar? Now he say, I wonder if you even have a video there. I don't know if you do, you know. You might. Rowley now saying, he went and do an interview with Natalie Lagore and say, well, it wasn't 50,000 people. It's UNC lie and say that it's 50,000 people went to Tobago. It was really 25,000 people that went both ways. Run the track, Archie. Let me hear that. Run it. No Rowley 50K Tobago. Yeah, it could be. It was when she was doing Natalie too. Yeah. Run it.
As a dialysis patient, Dr. Rowley, time is important. You know, my dialysis schedule, like most people who are on dialysis, it's 3 times a week. And I did a test the Thursday night, and to this day,
Well, that is not it. We go into that Natalie Lagore dialysis interview part just now. And what that was a little clip of people at the golf course, you see, because Rowley plays golf. So cart, zoom in, and 3 different carts with 4 fellas on it playing golf. Okay, great. That's how the law is applied in Trinidad and Tobago, because no, all you can't sweat, all you can't play cricket, all you can't do nothing, all you have to stay indoors, all you can't exercise, all your gyms closed, all you can't exercise outdoors, all you can't do nothing, but them could play golf because Rowley like golf. And you all find that's right. But let me continue because we are the video, no big thing. I go talk it out here. So Rowley tried to say that 50,000 people didn't go. All you don't remember last week I was showing you a video with Rohan boasting 50,000 people went from Trinidad to Tobago and we moved them flawlessly with the ferries. Everything went well. All you don't remember that? Well, yes. Rowley tried to lie and say, well, it wasn't 50,000. It was 25,000 one way and then the 25,000 went back. Then he tried to say also, on a normal weekend, 15 to 20,000 people go to Tobago anyway. So his invitation and his talking about come to Tobago and Tobago is the place to be and it's the ferry would only have impacted 5,000 people. Rowley, even in your lie, 5,000 people moving from Trinidad to Tobago on a ferry or in planes and then coming across to interact with people in a pandemic. You find that makes sense? Run the video, let me see it.
But
we find it.
Think that it was irresponsible to make the call, though. I mean, we enjoyed a relatively calm Christmas season, and we seem to have had that spike. Plus, we have the Minister of Works and Transport telling us that over 50,000 people went to Tobago, and we are seeing a spike at this time.
Well, 50,000 people did not go to Tobago. That is all part of the national fabric of lies that are being told. 50,000 people did not go to Tobago. So if the figure is 25,000, the additional people who might have gone is about 5,000 people. And many of those that have gone home to their family in Tobago, to their homes in Tobago. So I don't know why we're looking for this excuse. And anybody who's telling you that, I'm too busy to listen to that, because they're deliberately trying to mislead the population. And we in the government spend a lot of time that could be used for other things to be trying to undo the lies and the misrepresentation.
We had in excess of 50,000 people moving back and forth, and everything ran smoothly, although we were in a pandemic. And we were able to move everyone across who wanted to get across, and we were able to bring them back. Just over 50,000 people would have traveled during that week of the Easter back and forth.
The UNC spreading it. Rowley, I know he's an Indian, but he's the only honest Indian. He's one of your PNM Indian. That's not UNC. That's your Minister of Works and Transport, Dr. Stones. You shameless liar. You calling people liar, Rowley? We're moving on, Bridgman's cabinet approval. Remember Keith Christopher Rowley when the Seabridge started to collapse and the tendon and the board fired and so on. Keith Christopher Rowley told the people of Tobago when Mark Bassan bust this story about this Bridgman's company, where they come from, how they couldn't qualify to supply dynamite to the port, but come with some old vessel, the Ocean Stem and the Kobo Star, come to bring it for Trinidad and Tobago. Mark Bassan gone down by a house in Freeport, then up he couldn't find no office and so on. Remember that? And Charmaine Lewis and Lennox Grant at the port, people get fired and bust throat. And Bridgman's, Rowley said, went through the normal cabinet rigors, which is the cabinet. First of all, the board would have gone through the tender, so on, and went to the Ministry of Works and Transport. The Ministry of Works and Transport would have done a cabinet note. The minister would have brought it to cabinet. Cabinet would have sent it to FNGP. They would have discussed it, come back on a blue paper, approve. Then the week following, they would have gotten it on a pink paper, confirmed that minute, and then it would have. That's what Rowley said. Basically, a 3 to 4 week process where everybody could get a chance to vet and so on. Rowley said that's what happened. And then when he came before the Joint Select Committee with a small pin at his side, he said, no, well, what happened was, I think I was in Tobago. And small pin said, yes, boss, we was in Tobago. I was right up in your K-Pax. And then he said, he approved the Charter Party agreement on the phone on the Friday. A Charter Party agreement that has so far reached, as of 4 months ago, $158 million of your money. He approved without reading a word. And the only person who can give cabinet approval is the Prime Minister. Then, after he approved the crooked money, He then went back to the cabinet and said, all your bobo heads, I approve that. Give me covering approval. And that's what happened. That was a blatant falsehood, a blatant lie. You shameless liar, Rowley. HDC Chinese contract. Remember somebody in the media bust that this sweetheart contract with some houses high up in the air units, some $541 million, some deal to pay up front early and within 28 days. Never before seen contract with some Chinese company at HDC. Rowley told you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I don't know how that reached cabinet. That's a cabinet. He was the Minister of Housing at the time. He had moved Randall Stitches Mitchell before Brian Manning moved him from his seat and from his girl. Right? So Mitchell, hide your dog here, boy, before they come for your dog. But Rowley was the line minister. A cabinet note cannot reach the cabinet without the line minister first. The permanent secretary will send the note in a blue file. The draft note, you check it, you vet it in English. All right, it needs some more meat here, some explanation. Make your notes and send it back by the permanent secretary. You write on the minute sheet. Permanent secretary approve. Permanent secretary will make the correction, send it back in a red file. When it come back in a red file, the minister will then read through it, make sure everything good, because you don't want to be a duncy head in cabinet and your note there making sense and your green verb and thing, right? And you check it good. You say, bam, sign. PS, approve, date it, bam. PS then take the red file, put it and send it to the cabinet secretariat. So the cabinet note could only reach the cabinet if the line minister signed it. Keith Christopher Rowley was the line minister for that, what he called corrupt HDC contract that the cabinet later withdrew after all of them. Faris Al-Rawi, Marlene McDonald, Newman George was the chairman of HDC. Kopi Schoon finds herself in that picture and all, signing the contract. Why? Because their prime minister told them, go and do that. Rowley is shameless liar. Renaissance Shorelands. Rowley was the minister of integrated planning and development back in 2003. Before that, different governments, UNC, PNM, whatever, EMNR, people had been applying to go up in shorelands high in the sky to make money. Everybody got blank, whether it was Carlos Saab, got format, checkmate man and so on, get blank. They had a company called Woodgill, which is Jeffrey Gillen and Woodruff. Them get blank once or twice before. Then Joseph Rahal, son of John Rahal, joined in August of 2003. Keith Rowley was the Minister of Integrated Planning and Development. And within 3 months of that, by November 3rd, 2003, Keith Christopher Rowley signed by ministerial approval, the outline approval for Woodgill to go up in the sky that you see there in Shorelands. Manning Bossy Throat and move him into housing 2 days after that. Keith Rowley. This is about the 25th time I've said that. You say you're going to sue me. Sue me now, boy. Come now, man. I want to put you on this stand and ask you some good questions. Sue me. You can't sue from when people talking the truth. I still have the document with your signature. Ministerial approval, which not only increased the value of that property by some 840 million. All your hand white, tell me. The land was worth X. But Rowley's outline approval make it go up in the sky 15x by 2. Each one multiplying millions and millions of dollars. Keith Christopher Rowley, you shameless liar. And then around that time, then he went HDC then, and the same Rahal, he gonna start a build house on Greenvale land that he buy from Rahal, which was floodplain land that did not get approval, and they build Greenvale where people nearly drowned. That your Rowley, that is your prime minister, and he calling people shameless liar. Rowley is shameless liar. Well, we don't talk about land date. There was a whole file on it reached by the DPP, you know, but they forget to tell he. But gravel roll from by hospital to somewhere by he. Sheep farm, the man built a sheep farm and did not get the certificate of environmental clearance or the EIA. It's on the record there. You shameless liar. The ferries is a government with Australia, Rowley said. Hostal and Incat are wholly, solely private-owned companies. The government of Australia has absolutely nothing to do with the private entities of Hostal and Incat. About the ferries. Because you borrow money from Australia, you can borrow money from anywhere. That don't make it a government. Where's the procurement? Where's the board? Where's the invitation to tender? Where's the competition? Where's the evaluation team? How much extra did we pay for those? Rowley. They scuttled the tender 3 times in the Seabridge. Remember they were lying and saying the Superfast Galicia, one that was corrupt at 14,000 euros per day. But they bring the Levalette at 34,000 euros per day. They bring the Cobostar at 26,500 US per day and then 22,000 US per day for over 3 years now and counting. 158 million and counting. But remember, there was one final tender in that process before Rowley created for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, a brand new phenomenon when it comes to legalized thieving that ministers will procure. And they went and was supposed to procure a fast ferry. At least them went and buy. A ministerial committee with Coleman, but Smallpin, Shamfa Kujo, and Minister Lehunt, who now at answer some bank. Them went and buy the slow ferry from China, the boat, Galleon's Passage that nobody want to go in for 120 million. And then Rowley lie and tell all you it was never meant to be a fast ferry. And secondly, here the whopper, his government, he bought that Galleon's Passage to function out of the port built at Toko. The Galleon's Passage by about 3.5-4 years ago. Where the port of Toko? They aim cut down a banana tree. They aim shave some razor grass yet. But he buy a vessel for a port that they build. So all earlier when the pandemic done and thing, go in courts and buy a stove for a house you ain't built yet and leave it out in the sun. That's what Rowley do. Rowley is shameless liar. Rowley, now this one, if this is true, well then he's a part-time Obia man. But if it's a lie, he's just a sick human being. Because Rowley said on a platform when Patrick Manning was ailing and sick, you see what happened to a man who put me out of somewhere? I from Mason Hall close by Lake Oto. When that man put me out, he regretted it. So which one is that, Rowley? Are you a shameless liar because you really ain't do no Obia on Manning? Or are you a disgusting human being who will ridicule and make fun of a man dying on his last bed and a man who was a prime minister? That's your kind of class to talk down, to denigrate and disrespect a sick man, wishing evil on him. Which one are the two? A shameless liar or a sick human being? You choose, Rowley. You calling people liar? You had COVID-19 symptoms, sneezing and stuffy nose. Well, some of them is not COVID-19 symptoms. Barrier trading, he didn't know that the gas, the fuel, that his best friend Newman George, he put him in charge of Barrier fuel after Delcy Rodriguez and Astrubal Chavez and them came down here during the pandemic. He didn't know. He said that was supposed to go to St. Eustace's and then it was to go Aruba. Aruba said there was nothing there for we. And Wilmer Rupetti Trafigura sell it to ES Euro Trading and it went straight to Venezuela after you danced the conga line. You shameless liar, Rowley. What about the Rio Treaty that you're upheld and you and your small pen lying on the Minister Mondello, the ambassador of the USA Mondello, you forget that? What about the terrorist cells in Trinidad and Tobago that even Faris Al-Rawi tried to walk back and still couldn't, and you went all over the country telling people we have terrorist cells and terrorist threat and Trinidad is a terrorist center, and you talking with ambassadors about fighting terrorism, and you pay for advertisements, your government take taxpayers' money to advertise Trinidad and Tobago as a terrorist cell and a terrorist breeding ground to tell youth men don't join ISIS. You shameless, unpatriotic, money hungry, got in procurement, legalized thieving. Rowley, a shameless liar. The UNC have the whorehouses in Trinidad and Tobago owned by the UNC. Hey Rowley, you shameless liar. You back up also your Minister of National Security to say that the UNC was randomly, sporadically paying criminals, to randomly and sporadically shoot and kill innocent citizens. You and your small pen are total liars, Rowley. Kamala is a racist. You are a proud black man because somebody in the UNC put an advertisement with somebody who don't even look Indian feeding somebody who need food, and it was a Hannah banana, and you call that racist? A white Anglo-Saxon thing used against black and brown people. You call yourself a proud black man? The last time you was proud of being black, you was 0 days old. You now come out your mother and the doctor didn't slap you yet, and like he slapped you on the wrong end, and we have to suffer now because that doctor missed. Greenvale. Narcissus Scope is not a former minister's relative. Rowley, true? What about your lying on Grabby Wabby? Why you tell lies on Grabby Wabby? Let me ask you the question. Were you with Grabby Wabby wife, Rowley? Are you calling people shameless liars? A cabinet minister, a junior minister, a minister in your cabinet. Was you with the man wife? Since you want to call shameless liars, let me hear you now. The whole Sandals debacle when you lie after lie. Sandals buying, building hotels all over the Caribbean, still spending their own money. You come to take a loan and telling us about 300 million when even Emily Elias, your own brethren and your own friend and a man after your own character, your own heart and your own likes, tell you that your lie, it was $1 billion US that the people were going to have to buy to just throw a label of a hotel, give away land, 500 acres of pristine Tobago land, walk all over the THA. Who was lying then, Rowley? You accuse Patrick Manning of being corrupt because he met with the CEO of Sunway and you were making calls that the Chinese companies were corrupt and so on. Since you are Prime Minister, all you have done is met with CEOs who build ship, CEOs who build house, CEOs who make cricks, CEOs who do any kind of procurement, CEOs who sell gas, CEOs who sell oil, those who looking for oil, those who bargain oil, all of them you was looking for. What about Andrew Gabriel wedding? Were you invited while you were buffing all of the rest of us and telling us that we are incompetent, we are inefficient, we are non-caring, we are unpatriotic? Did you have an invitation to Andrew Gabriel's daughter wedding? You shameless liar. You say you didn't negotiate the Houston gas price. You sit down in a conversation with the Duns and cross your leg and telling me how you went to Houston with Smallpin who had been conducting the negotiations and you finalized the negotiation. After that negotiation, the gas industry in Trinidad and Tobago crumbled to a point where NGC made a loss for the first time in history. 12 companies shut down at Point Lisas and we have no income, no revenue because of your negotiation. And you say you did not negotiate the gas price? You shameless liar. What about your boy Harry Ragunanan, who you threw out of the government because Harry Ragunanan was going to get good boats like Terrajet and so on, that he was negotiating with the ports from since 2016 for the country to have good ferries. But somebody wanted a commission and your cat's paddle, and then the whole Bridgman's fiasco come, and then you come and lie on Harry Ragunanan. Where the case? Or they throw him out the PNM. Don't mind, he ain't get bright. He went online with Vassan. Poor Harry. But all they pelt out Harry out the PNM, accusing him of all kind of things. Where that reach, Rowley? What about vaccine gate? What about the HSF drawdowns? You say how Kamala didn't build no school. Show us the 106 schools. Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala show you each and every one of the 106 schools that they built. You tell with the Indian vaccine, you say the Caricom heads knew nothing about the donation of Indian vaccines, and you were at a meeting with them and you asked each Prime Minister of Caricom whether they knew anything about Indian vaccine. You lie, because how they didn't know and they get? How they didn't know and everybody get? Me, I want to get 100,000, Holidays get 45,000, everybody get. Then Kamala asked and we and all get. And you still ask. And now you're talking about vaccine? We coming back, you know. I'm coming back to wrap up. We went long, but when Amanda's lied that much, I'm very sorry. I had to get through, and I still have plenty more lies, you know. But I feel all you get the idea. Rowley, you are in no way qualified to call anybody a liar. Mr. Emailgate, the greatest lie ever told in the history of the Commonwealth, boy. We coming back.
Politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago, do we have this thing out to fix? We coming with facts, cut them down like axe. Every kid and race finally got places love to the max. And when we tell them, Manel, Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yo. Douglas politics, listen, Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics, yeah. Douglas politics, this is Douglas politics.
And it is zero race talk, zero idiotic talk. I deal with facts. And welcome back. And just to show all you know, my boys must give you a little, you can't just take my word for it. Let's show some of Rowley's whoppers. Not a Burger King whopper, you know. His lies. Run it.
So this is an era where people are subscribing to a view that truth does not matter. Is what you can get people to believe that matters. This world is a place now in 2019 going forward where people are making a career of not speaking the truth, and every item of information has to be checked and double checked. But I want to talk to the mothers, the children, the neighbors, and all those who are attached to the petrotrin business to make one clear statement to you first and foremost. The government is not closing down petrotrin. I'm now discovering some person called Asdrubal Chavez, who I'm now discovering as part of the commission. He worked as part of a commission for PDVSA restructuring somewhere in his past. Nobody in that meeting was introduced to us as president of PDVSA. Nobody. I saw the leader of the opposition refusing to take part in a debate in the House. The speaker looked at the opposition bench when it was their turn to stand up. Nobody stood up. And then I heard that comment from Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa that she was prevented from speaking.
Speaker.
I called the Attorney General, that's why.
Much obliged, ma'am. Madam Speaker. I thank the honourable members of this chamber for...
As chairman of the National Security Council, as Prime Minister of this country, I did not know that the police was onto Marlene McDonald. However, I simply want to say to the national community that in treating with the matter of safety, security, crime and criminality and the comfort of our citizens, I hold the office of chairman of the National Security Council, and I may have a little more information on these matters than any other citizen. That's all.
You had appointed Mr. Motley, Balgobin, and another person in the initial stage where you gave a guideline to the country that these are the people going to help you to draft and lead a way forward for Sandals. Yeah?
No, sir. Please. No, sir. No, sir, your record wrong. Mr. Motley was only invited to work with this government on the issue of gas. Gas, in dealing with the gas companies, in dealing with the gas master plan. That's where Mr. Motley had absolutely nothing to do with Sandals. So whatever note you have there, take it up. To appoint a team of people and we are grateful that they've agreed to serve those who have already been informed. And that team is to be headed by Mr. Wendell Motley. This group will be the one that will do the negotiations for what is to happen with respect to this project that we are pursuing for Sandals in Tobago. And I know that you will accept that from a Prime Minister who always tells you the truth. And I know that you will accept that from a Prime Minister who always tells you the truth.
You know, I have more to go here, you know. But you know what, Archie? A man sing a tune. I want to finish up with Bob Marley. I think after that, I don't have nothing else to say. That man is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. All the years our teachers teaching us to be smart, do your work. To be a Prime Minister is a great honor. It's so powerful. You can impact your country in such a way. Make sure you're bright. Make sure your heart in the right place. Make sure you listen. Make sure if you don't know, you find the answer. That man who lie on everybody since he come in politics, who lie on Manning, who lie on every PNM who went against him, who lie on CEOs, lie on the Chinese companies, lie on Kamlan and government with email gate, lie about Beatam Wastewater, lie down the place. And somehow a system created since 1956 that makes little splotches of red be equal to huge masses of yellow. An EBC headed by the niece of a former sitting minister and a man who wrote the most vile, racist letter to the editor, allows this clown to be Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. And we are paying for it. COVID-19 has ravaged us economically. We may never rebound. The economy is dead. And now we are dying. The Brazilian variant, the COVID-19 variant, the no testing, the no contact tracing, the lies, the lack of investment in the hospitals, the lack of investment in porous borders and locking down and creating a dome security situation has left us vulnerable, and each and every one of us is dying. COVID-19 not checking for Balize card. COVID-19 does not know that you were behind a truck going left foot, right foot. COVID-19 not checking for red jersey. COVID-19 not watching you to see if you is Rowley friend. COVID-19 not checking to see before you're dead if you like PNM, you know. The incompetence abounds. I done there, you know. I have plenty more, you know. I go save that for another day. That man, the most dishonest, disgraceful man, I tired tell all you. I detest that man. I do. I ain't gonna lie to all you. I detest him for everything that he stands for. I detest him as a man for leaving a child for 44 years without a father. I detest that. You make a child who care. Everybody like, oh man, you have one inside, outside, but all his child in the arms of a father. I detest that man. But not one day, not one time, not one moment will you ever go catch me lying on him. All that I have said is factual, true, and evidence-based. The man is a sham, he's a disgrace. And we need to get him out of the country. We go on. Good night. Play the Bob.
It is the same way I felt this morning driving into Port of Spain, taking the route next to the Brian Lara Promenade. And I wept. I really wept when I saw what was taking place. Total disregard for the public health measures. It was sad. I pulled aside and literally a tear came to my eye.
No terrors, no cry. No terrors, no cry. No terrors, no cry. No terrors, no cry. Said I remember every speech you gave when the government hold press conference, giving out precautions to curb COVID. So we won't pass it to the good people we meet. Independence Square wide driving you saw along the way. A crowd of limers drinking like it's a fair. You shed a tear, but wait. No terrors, no cry. No terrors, no cry. Pull to the side, I shed just one tear, but does it? No terrors, no cry.
I have no problem with people drinking the white water, Coca-Cola, that in the morning. But do it home. Don't do it on Brian Lara Promenade, sitting next to each other, a foot apart.